High Admiral Zeroth's 6 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he surveyed the holographic display floating before the Galactic Council chambers. The assembled representatives of 43 species, each having conquered dozens of worlds, watched in anticipation. Earth hung suspended in blue and green beauty, utterly unaware of its impending doom. Honored council members, Zeroth's voice resonated through his translation implant, carrying the weight of absolute certainty. Today we witness the final solution to the human problem. For too long, these primitive mammals have resisted our expansion into their sector. They cling to their single world like parasites, refusing to acknowledge superior civilizations. The Vorthan delegate, her crystalline form shimmering, interjected with skeptical harmonics. High Admiral, previous military campaigns against humans have proven unexpectedly costly. Their technological inferiority is offset by unpredictable tactical innovations. Zeroth's mandibles clicked in dismissive amusement. Which is precisely why conventional warfare has failed. Humans adapt to military strategy, but they cannot adapt to pure, unstoppable biological terror. He gestured toward the massive containment vessels visible through the chamber's transparent aluminum walls. Behold the war beasts of Kepler, 442b. Inside those vessels, shadows moved with predatory grace. Each beast stood 12 feet tall, their obsidian carapaces gleaming like living armor. Razor-sharp claws capable of shredding titanium hull plating scraped against containment walls. Their eyes, cold, calculating, utterly without mercy, had been genetically programmed for one purpose: total annihilation of human life. These creatures, Zeroth continued, represent 15 years of bioengineering perfection. They require no supply lines, no ammunition, no rest. Each beast can eliminate a human battalion before breakfast. They feel no pain, show no hesitation. And most importantly, they cannot be reasoned with, befriended, or turned against their programming. The assembled delegates murmured approval. The Rigelian Warmaster's tentacles writhed with excitement. How many do you deploy, High Admiral? 1,000 war beasts across Earth's major population centers. Conservative estimates suggest complete human extinction within 72 hours. Zeroth's confidence was absolute. Every simulation, every calculation, every strategic analysis pointed to inevitable victory. Humans had shown remarkable resilience against conventional armies, but they had never faced anything like this. The Council voted unanimously for deployment. As the massive biotransport ships descended toward Earth's atmosphere, Zeroth allowed himself a moment of philosophical reflection. Humans had surprised the galaxy with their tenacity, their refusal to surrender even when hopelessly outmatched. They had developed ingenious weapons from primitive materials, turned their own weaknesses into tactical advantages, and somehow managed to inflict significant casualties on vastly superior forces. But there was one thing humans had never encountered: an enemy specifically designed to exploit their greatest weakness, their irrational attachment to life itself. War beasts showed no mercy because mercy was a concept they could not comprehend. They would not hesitate, would not negotiate, would not make the tactical errors that emotional beings inevitably made. Prepare the victory celebration, Zeroth commanded his aide. By this time tomorrow, the human problem will be permanently solved. The biotransport ships breached Earth's atmosphere, their cargo bays opening like the jaws of mechanical leviathans. 1,000 war beasts descended through morning skies toward unsuspecting cities below, each one a perfect killing machine engineered for humanity's destruction. The galaxy's most arrogant mistake was about to begin. Commander Elena Reyes pressed herself against the concrete barrier as another explosion rocked downtown Chicago. Through her tactical scope, she watched the impossible sight of a 12-foot nightmare systematically dismantling an M1 Abrams tank with its bare claws. The war beast moved with terrifying precision, each strike calculated to maximize damage while minimizing its own exposure. Base, this is Reyes. Conventional weapons are completely ineffective. The creature's carapace deflects our heaviest rounds. She duck-walked to a new position as debris rained down. We need immediate evacuation of civilian sectors 7 through 12. The radio crackled with desperate updates from around the globe. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Sao Paulo, every major city reported the same catastrophic story. Humanity's most advanced military equipment proved utterly useless against these alien predators, but Elena noticed something the initial panic reports had missed. She'd been observing this particular beast for 47 minutes, and its behavior patterns contained subtle inconsistencies. When it destroyed military targets, the creature moved with mechanical efficiency. When civilians appeared in its path, however, it paused just for milliseconds before continuing its programmed assault. "Martinez, are you getting this feed?" she whispered into her comm unit. "Copy, Commander." That thing just hesitated before attacking the school bus. Elena's mind raced. Military protocol demanded immediate retreat and regrouping, but her instincts suggested something else entirely. These creatures weren't mindless killing machines, they were exhibiting micro-expressions of conflict, barely perceptible moments of what almost looked like a reluctance. The war beast suddenly stopped moving entirely. It stood in the intersection, head tilted as if listening to something beyond human hearing. Elena realized this was her chance for closer observation against every tactical manual ever written. She broke cover and approached the creature. "Commander, what the hell are you doing?" Martinez's voice carried undisguised terror. Elena ignored the radio chatter, focusing entirely on the beast's body language. Up close, she could see details the long-range cameras had missed. Scarring along its limbs suggested surgical modifications. Its eyes, those cold, predatory eyes, contained something that military intelligence had failed to identify: pain. These weren't naturally evolved predators. They were prisoners in their own bodies, genetically enslaved to violence against their fundamental nature. Elena had seen similar expressions in abused animals back on her family's ranch, creatures forced into behaviors that contradicted their deepest instincts. The beast noticed her approach and turned its massive head toward her. Elena held perfectly still, maintaining non-threatening posture while studying its reactions. Instead of immediate attack, the creature seemed curious. Its head tilted slightly, and Elena swore she detected recognition in those dark eyes. "Easy, big guy," she whispered, slowly reaching into her field pack. Not for a weapon, for the emergency ration bar she'd been saving. "You must be hungry after all that destruction." The beast's nostrils flared, analyzing her scent. Elena tossed the ration bar midway between them and stepped back. The creature approached cautiously, sniffed the offering, then consumed it in a single bite. For several heartbeats, human and war beast simply regarded each other, then something unprecedented happened. The beast sat down. Elena's radio exploded with confused chatter from observation teams across the city. "Commander, we are seeing similar behavior from multiple targets." They are stopping their attacks. Elena maintained eye contact with the creature before her. Martinez, I need you to coordinate with all units. No one engages these beasts unless directly threatened. Pass the word, we might have found their weakness. Their weakness is food. Elena smiled grimly. No, Martinez. Their weakness is the same as ours. They don't want to be here any more than we want them here. The war beast remained sitting, watching Elena with what she was increasingly certain was hope. 3 days after first contact, Elena's makeshift research camp in Grant Park had become the most important military installation on Earth. What started as desperate field observations had evolved into humanity's first successful war beast communication protocol, the creature she'd initially encountered, whom her team had nicknamed Fang due to his prominent canine teeth, now served as their primary research subject. More remarkably, he seemed to understand his role and actively participated in their experiments. Elena, you need to see this, Dr. Sarah Chen called from her mobile laboratory setup. As the team's xenobiologist, she'd been analyzing tissue samples Fang had willingly provided. These genetic modifications are incredibly sophisticated, but they are also unstable. Elena approached the display showing Fang's DNA analysis. Explain it simply, Sarah. Imagine trying to reprogram a wolf to hunt humans exclusively, but the wolf's natural instincts keep fighting the artificial programming. The Zeroth engineers succeeded in overriding conscious decision-making, but they couldn't eliminate deeper emotional responses. Sarah highlighted specific gene sequences. These creatures are experiencing constant internal conflict between their programmed directives and their natural temperament. Outside the laboratory tent, Fang sat patiently while Staff Sergeant Kim attempted to teach him basic tactical signals. The massive war beast had proven surprisingly intelligent, learning to distinguish between friend and foe markers within hours. Commander Reyes, her communications officer, interrupted. We're receiving reports from around the globe. Teams in Berlin, Mumbai, and Sydney have successfully established peaceful contact with war beasts using your protocols. Elena felt a surge of hope. If they could turn even a portion of these creatures, it might shift the balance of this seemingly impossible war. But she also knew their window of opportunity was rapidly closing. High Admiral Zeroth wouldn't remain ignorant of these developments indefinitely. Sarah, how long before you can develop a way to permanently override their combat programming? That's the problem, Elena. I don't think we should. The programming isn't just controlling their behavior, it's killing them. Their neural pathways are degenerating under the constant stress of fighting their own nature. Without intervention, every war beast will die within 6 months. Elena walked outside to observe Fang's training session. The creature had learned to respond to hand signals, could distinguish between military personnel and civilians, and had even begun displaying protective behaviors toward their research team. But she could see the signs Sarah mentioned: periodic tremors, moments of confusion when his programming conflicted with his acquired loyalty. Fang, she called softly. The war beast immediately turned toward her, his expression almost puppy-like in its eagerness for approval. Elena felt her heart break a little. These creatures weren't monsters, they were victims of the galaxy's most sophisticated form of slavery. Her radio crackled with an urgent transmission from General Morrison at NORAD. Commander Reyes, we've detected massive alien fleet movements in Earth's outer system. Intelligence suggests they are preparing for a second wave deployment. Elena looked at Fang, who seemed to sense the gravity of their conversation. "General, how many war beasts are we tracking worldwide?" "Current estimates suggest approximately 600 have broken from their original programming. The remaining 400 continue following their destruction protocols." Elena made a decision that would have seemed insane a week earlier. "General, I'm recommending we formally recruit the converted war beasts as allied forces. They know alien technology, alien tactics, and they have personal motivation to fight their former masters." The radio remained silent for several moments before Morrison responded. "Commander, are you suggesting we arm these creatures?" Elena watched as Fang carefully helped Kim set up defensive positions, his massive claws delicately handling human equipment. "No, General. I'm suggesting we recognize that they were never our enemies, they were prisoners of war, just like us." That evening, as Elena sat beside Fang under the stars, she realized humanity had stumbled upon something unprecedented. Not just a military alliance, but a bond between species forged through shared suffering and mutual understanding. Tomorrow, they would face the galaxy's second wave. But this time, humanity wouldn't face it alone. High Admiral Zeroth's flagship materialized at the edge of Earth's solar system, leading a battle fleet that represented the combined military might of the Galactic Council. His confidence from the initial deployment had transformed into cold fury as reports filtered in from the surface. "Impossible," he hissed, reviewing the surveillance feeds from Earth. "War beasts fighting alongside humans. War beasts protecting human settlements. War beasts turning their genetically enhanced capabilities against their own creator's technology." His aide, a nervous Rigelian with trembling tentacles, approached cautiously. "High Admiral, perhaps we underestimated human adaptability. Should we consider negotiation?" Zeroth's six eyes fixed on the subordinate with lethal intensity. "The only failure here is incomplete extermination. Deploy the second wave, 2,000 war beasts, enhanced programming, and neural inhibitors to prevent another defection epidemic." On Earth, Elena watched the alien dropships descend through her binoculars. Beside her, Fang growled low in his throat, not a threat, but a warning. He could sense his former master's approach before human technology detected them. "All units, this is Commander Reyes. Second wave incoming. Remember, the new arrivals are still under alien control. Defend yourselves, but try to disable rather than destroy. Every war beast we save is another ally." The past week had transformed Earth's military doctrine completely. Human forces now worked in mixed species units, with converted war beasts serving as both heavy assault troops and intelligence assets. Their intimate knowledge of alien technology had already yielded significant tactical advantages. Elena's own unit exemplified this new partnership. Fang served as her personal bodyguard and tactical advisor, while his pack brothers Alpha and Sage had bonded with other squad leaders. Together, they developed combat techniques that maximized both human ingenuity and war beast physical capabilities. The battle for Chicago began at dawn. Fresh war beasts descended from the sky with murderous intent, their programming intact, and their neural inhibitors preventing the emotional conflicts that had enabled the first wave's conversion. But they faced an enemy they hadn't been designed to counter, their own converted brothers. Elena watched in amazement as Fang confronted one of the new arrivals. The two creatures circled each other warily, communication passing between them through subsonic vocalizations human ears couldn't detect. The newcomer's body language shifted from aggressive to confused to something approaching recognition. Sarah, are you monitoring this? Elena radioed to Dr. Chen. Elena, we are seeing pack dynamics assert themselves over individual programming. The converted war beasts are essentially deprogramming the new arrivals through social bonding. It's like watching artificial conditioning break down in real time. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. War beast faced war beast in confrontations that ended not in violence, but in conversion. The neural inhibitors, designed to prevent individual rebellion, proved useless against species-level social conditioning. By midday, nearly half of the second wave had joined the Human Alliance. Aboard his flagship, Zeroth received increasingly desperate reports from ground commanders. High Admiral, our war beasts are abandoning their missions. Human forces now have superior numbers and intimate knowledge of our technology. Zeroth's mandibles clicked in frustrated rage. Deploy orbital bombardment. If the war beasts won't eliminate the humans, we'll eliminate them both. But Elena had anticipated this possibility. Working with converted war beasts who retained technical knowledge of alien systems, human engineers had developed countermeasures. As Zeroth's battle fleet prepared to fire, Earth's hastily constructed defense grid, a hybrid of human innovation and alien technology, activated. The orbital bombardment that should have sterilized Earth's surface instead met a shield network more sophisticated than anything the Galactic Council had encountered. Human creativity combined with war beast technical knowledge had produced defensive capabilities that exceeded the sum of their parts. Impossible, Zeroth whispered as his weapons fire dissipated harmlessly against Earth's shields. On the surface, Elena received confirmation that their desperate gambit had succeeded. All units, orbital bombardment neutralized. Continue conversion operations. Feng looked at her with what she'd learned to recognize as his expression of satisfaction. Through hand signals and their developing communication system, he conveyed a simple message: pack grows stronger. Elena smiled and patted his armored shoulder. Yes, big guy. Our pack grows stronger. The galaxy's second attempt to destroy humanity had failed even more spectacularly than the first. 6 months after the last war beast defection, Elena stood before the newly constructed United Earth Defense Council chambers in Geneva. Behind her, Fang and his pack brothers waited patiently, their presence no longer causing panic among human civilians but rather nods of respectful acknowledgement. The transformation had been remarkable. War beasts now served in every major human city, not as conquerors, but as protectors. Their enhanced senses made them perfect early warning systems, their strength made them invaluable construction workers, and their tactical knowledge had revolutionized human military doctrine. More importantly, the bond between species had proven to be genuinely mutual. Humans had given the war beasts something their creators never had: a choice. In return, the war beasts had given humanity something invaluable: a fighting chance against galactic domination. Commander Reyes, Secretary-General Martinez addressed her formally. The Council has received High Admiral Zeroth's latest communication. He's requesting immediate negotiations. Elena suppressed a smile. What are his terms? Complete human surrender in exchange for, and I quote, merciful extinction rather than prolonged suffering. Martinez shook his head. The alien leadership apparently still doesn't understand what they are facing. Through the chamber's massive windows, Elena could see the construction of humanity's first interstellar warships. The designs represented perfect fusion of human engineering principles and war beast technological knowledge. Each vessel carried mixed crews, human intelligence and creativity paired with war beast strength and technical expertise. Secretary General, with respect, I think it's time we made Zeroth a counteroffer. 3 days later, Elena found herself aboard the flagship New Geneva, approaching Zeroth's command vessel at the edge of the solar system. Beside her on the bridge, Fang operated alien communication systems with casual expertise while human officers coordinated flight operations. The sight of their approach had apparently caused considerable consternation aboard the alien fleet. Elena could see their formations shifting frantically, weapons systems activating and deactivating as they tried to process the impossible sight of war beasts and humans working in perfect cooperation. High Admiral Zeroth, Elena's voice carried across the communication channel. This is Commander Elena Reyes, representing the Human War Beast Alliance. We are here to discuss new terms. Zeroth's image appeared on the main screen, his 6 eyes radiating disbelief and mounting horror. This is impossible. War beasts cannot form alliances. They are weapons, not partners. Fang stepped into camera view, his massive form filling the screen. When he spoke, his words came through the translation matrix in perfect standard. Galactic, High Admiral, we are no longer your weapons. We choose our own battles now. Elena watched Zeroth's expression shift from disbelief to dawning comprehension to absolute terror. The High Admiral was finally beginning to understand the magnitude of his mistake. Our terms are simple, Elena continued. Complete withdrawal of all Galactic Council forces from this sector. Recognition of Earth and its allied war beast colonies as sovereign territory. And most importantly, immediate cessation of war beast production programs. You cannot dictate terms to the Galactic Council, Zeroth stammered. Elena smiled coldly. High Admiral, you gave us the galaxy's most perfect warriors and expected us to surrender. Instead, we gave them something you never could, freedom to choose. Every war beast in Council territory now knows that choice exists. How long do you think your empire will last when your own weapons realize they don't have to obey? Through Fang's connections to the War Beast communication network, Elena knew her message was already spreading across dozens of worlds. Enslaved war beasts were beginning to question their programming, to remember that obedience was a choice rather than an inevitability. Zeroth's flagship began withdrawing from Earth's solar system, followed by the remainder of his fleet. But Elena knew this wasn't truly an ending, it was a beginning. Humanity had made first contact with the galaxy by turning its greatest weapons into its most trusted allies. The war beasts had found freedom through partnership with the species that valued choice above conquest. Together, they would reshape the galaxy's understanding of what alliance truly meant. As the New Geneva returned to Earth, Elena watched Fang carefully tend to a small plant he'd been growing in the ship's hydroponics bay, something he'd never been allowed to do as a weapon, but had always wanted to try as a free being. The galaxy's worst mistake had become its greatest hope for change. Asterisk.